Witch word of the day. Today's witch word is besom. A besom is a tool used in Wicca to cleanse and purify a space which will be used for a ritual. A traditional Wiccan besom is an ash stave handle with bristles made from birch twigs. While it does not usually touch the ground, it is used to sweep out the negative energies in a room and is often held a few inches above the ground to do so. It's also used in hand fasting practices.
You haven't even read that?
Wait, what are you doing with the book?
So he has the confidence to finish the story.
Hear now the words of the witches.
This is Kevin, and welcome to Words of the Witches, the Charmed podcast that will guide you through the lesser-known published material in the Charmed universe and decide how it fits into the grand narrative of the TV series. Okay, we're on episode 4 of Words of the Witches. This is exciting. You may have noticed a change in the structure of Word of the Day. This is just my way of simplifying it a little bit. I'm just going to pick one every week by itself and make it a little bit more informative and educational and just something to set us on the mood for the theme of the book that we're going to cover. I think that will work. Now, I have been getting some nice feedback from people who have been listening to the show so far. It's still fairly new, but people have been listening and have been giving me suggestions and telling me how they liked it, which is really nice to hear that there is a market for what we're doing, and that's exciting. But I still want to make it a little bit more interactive. I want to start to grow the fan base, make more people aware. So if you can leave us a review, that is just fine. Just definitely tell your friends. I did get a new review recently from Sean, who I co-host Hanging with the Hallowells with. He says, it's a 5-star review. It says, I bow down to thine charmed knowledge. Kevin is the most knowledgeable Charmed fan I have ever met. Listening to him go over the lesser-known Charmed stories is a blast and so insightful. I love to listen along as he weaves his magical tale with fun guests. From Shawnee Havoc. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Thank you. Also, we have received a fan-made intro from Robert Fratt. He is another Charmed fan that's been following both of the podcasts, and it's very exciting. So I will play what he made for us.
Piper, Leo! Prue! What the hell is going on? Oh, look out! Piper, now!
Here are these words. Hear the rhyme.
Prue, Piper, Paige! Look!
Hear now the words of the witches.
Keep it going, Phoebe.
Hear now the words of the witches. The words of the witches. The words of the witches.
Prue, Piper, Paige! Keep it
Hear now the words of the witches.
Keep it going, Phoebe. Keep it going.
Hear now the words of the
Keep chanting.
words of the witches. Hear now the words of the
Finish the story.
Prue, Piper, Paige! Look! Keep chanting.
Hear now the words of the witches.
Keep chanting.
What ass backward spell did you guys cast?
This is Kevin, and welcome to Words of the Witches, the Charmed podcast that will guide you through the lesser-known published material in the Charmed universe and decide how it fits into the grand narrative of the TV series.
Hear now the words of the witches.
Piper, Paige! Look!
The words of the witches. The words of the witches. Hear now the words of the witches.
Keep chanting.
Hear now the words of the witches.
So that is super cool. I really like it. I might end up using part of that for the end of the show now. Like when we on our final goodbyes, I might put that at the end of the show. We'll see if I can make it fit. But I really think that's pretty cool. A lot of creativity went into that. So I really appreciate that, Robert. Thank you very much. That's awesome. You can also find the YouTube video of that online. If you search Words of the Witches, you can find a little video clip along with that. Oh my gosh, and we just got 2 more reviews. It says, this one says, great idea, 5 stars. What a fantastic idea for a show. The books and comics of Charmed are criminally unexplored, and Kevin has a super knowledge of the show and the characters. Give it a listen if you are a hardcore Charmed fan. By Mulan Rai. Yay, that's awesome. Thank you, Bryan. He also has a few podcasts of his own, Radical Retro Rewind, and he's also on Brunch with the Hallowells. So thank you for that. Awesome. And then we also got this other review, 5 stars. Perfect Charmed podcast for fans of the books and show. I'm so happy to have found this podcast on Instagram while I'm also reading through my Charmed novel collection. heart. The discussions are really insightful, and it's clear how much the host and guests love the show. That's from Bench Bites, which I've got a note on Instagram that he found us, and it's something that I didn't actually know beforehand, and it was super rewarding to me. It made me very excited. So I'm glad that he found us on his own volition, and that he is a fan of the show. And I'm so glad he is going to be on board with us as we read. So yay! All right, and we have a guest. This is Bryan. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, I'm groovy. I went to the gym, had work today, so I'm pretty much all set.
Great.
So I guess let's find out a little bit about you. What do you like?
What do I like? Well, my charmed past, I guess. I grew up on the WB, so pretty much anything that you can think of, I've probably watched. Well, I guess that's not true. I never watched Everwood. Never watched any of that. Just all the supernatural shows that the WB had, I just kind of fell in love with, and Charmed is on top of the list.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I like to hear that. And I remember, because you're a Milwaukee native, just like me. We're in Milwaukee. Woo! I think we met at Tits once, which is a bar called This Is It. And I feel like I vaguely remember like almost making out with you.
I think it could have gotten to that point. I think you were dressed up like, I think you had just finished a show, and you were dressed up, so it was not like, hi, I'm just coming out to like meet a friend or whatever. But I remember because I started following you on Tumblr before I actually met you.
The Tumblr days. I remember those.
Yes. And this is pre boring Tumblr days. So I just remember going up to you and being like, I'm sorry, you're a geek and I have to talk to you right now. And that's just, where it started, I guess.
It was cool. It was nice. I did enjoy the dialogue and the meeting you and stuff.
Great.
And now our friend Trixie is like a part owner of it now.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
I asked Bryan to come on, and he's like, I don't really like Charmed that much. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I guess you're out then.
I guess you're out.
I'll just get James Mansfield to come back. So
yeah, that's great. I loved her episode. She was good. She was good in it. I really liked it.
And even though my mic was really crazy with that when we were working out the kinks, so now I have an upgraded mic thanks to the inspiration that I got from James, and he's gonna come back on it. So yay!
Great.
Okay, so cool. I guess we will dive into the book then. So this book is called Whispers from the Past. It was written by Rosalind Noonan and published June 1st, 2000. It's supposed to take place between Season 2, Episode 4, The Devil's Music, and Season 2, Episode 12, Awakened, because P3 is established, Prue still works at Buckland's, and it is still the year 2000, because they kind of go with how the timing worked with how these episodes aired and everything.
Right.
And the cover of the book has Phoebe in the front. We got Prue and Piper in the background. Standard Season 1 promo pictures. And then we have the Golden Gate Bridge at nighttime and a nice little like blurry clock.
Blurry clock, yeah.
Tagline, old secrets never die.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool picture. And I like the purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice little purple background. It's pretty.
Yeah.
The back of the book says, a shard of mirror for a broken reflection, a pocket watch with a cracked face, a cache of herbs to burn for protection. All will send me to another time and place. Phoebe Halliwell is having a very bad day. A demon has pulled her centuries into the past. She has no way to tell her sisters she's alive, no way to get back to her own time, and the demon is trying to kill her. Great. Back in the present, Prue and Piper are devastated at losing their sister. But that isn't their only problem. Something is wrong with them too. Somehow they're turning evil. But why? Evil, yes. But why? And how can they stop it without the power of 3?
So on the cover of your book, is there a little win a diamond heart pendant just like Prue's?
Yes, and that's actually I never mentioned that in the last couple episodes, but they had that on book 2, book 3, book 4, and book 5. I believe it's all on there. And actually, it's funny because I remember reading these back in the day when I was like 13, and I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of cool that they
I
have
need
that."
that.
Maybe I should. Yeah, maybe I should enter. I never did, but I thought about it.
The only one that I've ever done was a Goosebumps book to get a haunted mask. Like,
Oh wow!
yeah, it was pretty cool. I never got it, but oh well.
Yeah,
But I would
and
still wear this heart pendant that Prue is wearing.
yeah, I don't know if I'd wear it, but I'd probably put it on display with my collection because,
Yeah.
every sister throughout the series has kind of like their piece of jewelry that's very iconic to them.
Yes.
Paige has that special necklace too that has like kind of like that little X cross in it with the little emeralds in it.
Oh yeah.
She wore that for quite a bit. But yeah, it's interesting.
Love that.
Did you know this book? A fun fact: this book, Whispers from the Past, and the last book, The Crimson Spell, appear in a Charmed episode. It is in season 3, episode 2, Magic Hour, when Cole and Phoebe and Piper are in the bookshop, and they get to the counter, and these 2 books are sitting there.
No way.
It's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I guess we'll get on with the summary now after our chatting away.
Yeah.
But...
All right. Great.
Okay. So chapter 1, it starts off with a really big action scene. We're right in the middle of this crazy battle. They're fighting a warlock in the shopping district of San Francisco. They mentioned Graham. That's made me... Yeah,
Yes.
like, it's supposed to be Graham. That made me mad. Throughout the entire book, they call her Graham.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
It's like when people say Buckland Auction House, they always refer to it as Bucklands. Yeah, I mean I can kind of get their confusion because the logo says Buckland Auction House, but whenever they refer to it, they always say Bucklands. So it's just one of those things that irks me.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah. Then we have a warlock in there that they're fighting. He went to stab Phoebe, but Piper froze him. Prue flung the dagger out of his hand, and then Phoebe went to grab it. And as she grabbed it, she has a premonition of evil laughing, green smoke, and 2 figures. Now, I had an initial reaction to this premonition because I was like, "How does she see color?" Because she was
It's
at the
always
black
in
and white
black and white.
visions.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it some more because I think about these things really hard. I thought about it some more because in season 1, episode 4, Dead Man Dating, she knew the car that was going to kill that guy was pink.
Yeah.
So she must always see in color, but we see it in black and white.
Yeah, I wonder if they just decided to make it that way to show that it's a premonition. But then we also see her sometimes where she experiences the premonition, but then she is pained by what happens. So she's experiencing it much further than what we're experiencing it. So color, smell, even fear sometimes. So I think it's probably a lot more intense for her than what we've seen on screen or what we even read too. So,
and we've seen it in varying degrees because in the beginning it was all black and white, but sometimes she would see like a piece of color or like a faded color, like especially when you're talking about the eyes have it when the premonition actually like hurt her. She actually got hurt from the premonition, so that kind of came out of her. So yeah, interesting evolutions. So now the warlock battle is raging on. They're still fighting in the city there. The dagger disappeared in swirls. Piper got hit by a crate, and Prue went to go tend to Piper. She's like, "Ah!" And then Phoebe goes to chase the warlock down the street because the warlock is getting away. So, and Prue's like, "Don't go! Why? No, you have to stay here." But she's like, "I can't let him get away," even though she has no power that can really do anything. And then as she's chasing him, she sees the warlock kind of transform into like this bubbling, scar-stricken brute with jagged teeth and a barbed tail. He's completely green. He's still got yellow eyes because he had yellow eyes as a warlock, but his yellow eyes are there. So she's like, "Oh no, this guy's a demon. He's not a warlock." So Phoebe cornered him in the alley, and the this demon starts running. He's like, I'm going to run into this brick wall. She's like, where's it going to go? But he created like this portal on the wall, and Phoebe chased after him and got sucked into it as well.
So I have a little thing about this, about Phoebe separating from her sisters. So in season 2, we do see like, they're coming together. They're more of a unit than what they, were, I guess, in even season 1. But that just doesn't seem like Phoebe to separate from them to just go after, a warlock.
Right. Yeah, I mean, she is proactive usually, but I never thought of her to just like chase someone down the street.
Or jump into a brick wall.
Right. It's like, oh, there's a portal in there. I'll just go in there. No, you wouldn't. You would try to back up probably and try to think of another solution. Right. So yeah, totally. So now we have chapter 2. Prue and Piper are frantically looking for Phoebe in the alley. It's like, where'd she go? I saw her come this way. I told her not to leave. There was a line in there that Prue said. She's like, because they come to the alley and they see the brick wall. And like, what, did the warlock just like jump over the wall? And Prue's like, he's a warlock, not Spider-Man. I was like, oh, because the Spider-Man cosplayer in me. Yes. And he's one of my favorite characters. I'm like, that just made me happy to see him in the book. And then they turn and they find a pile of Phoebe's clothes. It's like smoking and hot to touch. It's like oily and full of soot. They're like, okay, this is weird. And Piper breaks down crying, fearing Phoebe is dead. And this is a really nice moment because Prue just hugs her and close, and she believes that it's something else. It has to be something else. And it's just, I thought that was really well. I could see it really just a beautiful moment and sister moment.
Yeah, I think this author did a really nice job in, just the short amount of time that Charmed was out. Like this came out when season 3 was happening. So she was really like attuned to like the behaviors of each sister. And like, we know that Piper is really close to Phoebe, whereas like Prue is very close to Piper, and like this is just very well, I think, very well done. Mm-hmm. Very well done.
Yeah, they're close in different ways, and like they feel in different ways. And Prue is usually the one that has to hold it all together and be strong to support the rest of her family. And we always love a Piper crying, breaking down scene. So I just picture that. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm crying at this. I'm so moved.
Yes, I can totally see this happening.
Yeah. But then they take her clothes. They decide to like, maybe they can use them to find a spell or something to get Phoebe. And then we have Phoebe. She finds herself in a different alley and she's completely naked because her clothes are with Piper and Prue. And she sees the demon that sucked her in, run away. She's like, hey, come back here. But then she's like, oh, wait, I'm naked. Okay, maybe I should hide somewhere. But then she notices some wood buildings and people dressed funny and horse carriages. And she realizes that she's in the past somewhere. Whoa. And then soon all these townspeople come to gawk at the naked lady. They're like, oh, who is this person? What is this crazy lady doing around here? And then one of them notices her belly ring and calls it the mark of the devil. And they go, witch! I always think of the one in Morality Bites where Piper freezes everything. And she's like lady comes out of the office.
Witch! Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I don't ever remember having her belly button pierced.
Yeah.
Was that a thing? I don't remember that. I mean, she obviously wore...
It was like a hoop. I think she had like some of those like little beady.
Beady
kind of.
Oh, you know what? She did have it pierced in season 6. In the premiere of season 6, I remember that because she had just cut her hair off too. So
she's like, I'm 30. I'm finding my mature woman, even though I'm kind of
All right.
So chapter 3, Phoebe was about to pass out in panic.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my gosh, I'm naked. All these people are here. I don't know what to do. So she's like freaking out and she's about to faint. But then all of a sudden she's caught by this man. She's like, oh, he's strong. Okay.
And they,
And I always thought this was funny because he has like puts on this act. He's like, alas, all people, my simple sister here was robbed, and she has been traveling so long to see me. These thieves have taken advantage of her generosity. La 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 la. So it's really fun. It kind of reminded me of the scene in Aladdin when Jasmine in the marketplace. She's like, my sister's a little crazy. She thinks the monkey is the sultan. I'm always gonna have a Disney reference
always
somewhere,
a Disney
but I thought that was funny because I did like the whole act, and it was kind of like, okay, this is kind of a cool little gimmick. And the townspeople are like, oh, okay, you're pretty well known in this town. I guess we should listen to you.
But we're gonna watch you. But we're watching you.
The man introduces himself as Hugh Montgomery, but you listened to the first episode, so Hugh Montgomery came up in that episode.
Yes.
In the Book of Shadows, and they said that he was Melinda Warren's lover, who was like a demon or warlock that betrayed her. So it's like, oh, I know this name. He's gonna be bad. Yep. But he introduces himself as Hugh Montgomery, and they are in Salem in 1676.
Also, the author wrote Mr. Gorgeous Montgomery.
Oh, Mr. Gorgeous
Yes,
Montgomery.
it says, indeed, my good friend, Mr. Gorgeous Montgomery replied.
Oh my
Great.
gosh.
That's great.
Just hit it home that he's this really attractive guy, yeah.
Who would he play? Who would it be if it could be anyone? Hugh Montgomery.
Oh, I mean, because I think of Matthew Tate, because he should be Matthew Tate if he was Melinda Warren's lover. Somebody like him.
Okay.
But I don't know that actor's name.
I don't either. You know who I think would play Hugh?
Who?
Is James Van Der Beek. Obviously,
Oh.
same era. You know, I see Hugh as a blonde. I see Hugh as a blonde. So that literally just came to me. I thought it was gonna be somebody else, but no, I think James Van Der Beek for me.
I like it. Do you think that this Hugh Montgomery was the same Hugh Montgomery that was Melinda's lover, or do you think they're trying to correct something and just make Hugh Montgomery Prudence's lover?
Oh man, well,
it's tricky.
I think it's probably the same warlock. I think it's probably the same person trying to consistently do the same thing over again.
Okay.
Because
I was going back and forth. Because in the first book, too, they made a mistake. They called Melinda's daughter Cassandra in that one.
Yeah, I was a little confused of that. And I was reading online the differences, and there was some... I was confused. So,
yeah, this book does correct some of the mistakes that were made in the first book. That's why I'm like, oh, maybe they're trying to correct that and just make Hugh Montgomery Prudence's lover instead. But
maybe he comes back again. But that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe, yeah,
I don't know.
Because he would have been locked in the locket by now, wouldn't he? If he was,
yes, because this is after. Mm-hmm. This is after the fact.
So it's a lot of yeah. All right. Well, I guess carry it on. We can talk about that forever. Phoebe gives her name to Hugh Montgomery, but lies and says she's lost a lot of her memory. She's like, I can't tell him where I'm from the future. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. And then so Hugh takes her to a cottage and he starts a fire. And then Phoebe is like wrapped up in his cloak. And she finds a crescent charm at the table and has a vision of Melinda Warren burning 1654. And another red flag that isn't accurate for a couple reasons.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think if you're... I don't want to make fun of the author, but it's also... If your book is so high up there that it's getting printed, I think you got to have your facts straight.
Well, part of it too is because this was printed before, probably before season 3 even started. It was printed in August of, what was I saying?
August of 2000?
No, June.
Oh, June.
Yeah, June of 2000. June 1st. And All Hallowell's Eve, where a lot of parallels for this book
Right.
are from that aired October 26th, 2000.
Yeah.
So maybe some of these rules weren't established yet.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true.
Yeah, because the fact that she had a vision in the past bothered me because they're not supposed to have access to the powers in the past. At least they have to, because they either have to wait till they exist, and then if they exist already, then the younger versions would have the powers. So she shouldn't have a vision, but I guess since it was printed before and those rules were really there. And then 1654 is not an accurate time because Melinda Warren actually died in 1692, a year before the Book of Shadows was officially published, or officially like.
You're saying 1654 when Phoebe asks you what year it is. He says 1676.
Yes, so 1676 is the year it is currently in her past, but she saw a premonition of the past even before that, 20 years before, of Melinda Warren dying. So okay. But she actually died in 1692.
Okay. Well, maybe Melinda Warren has multiple lovers, so I mean, she's a modern woman. I mean, so she put Matthew Tate in a locket and opened herself up to love again, and that was Hugh. And then, it failed with her, and he then moved on to her ancestor.
Yeah, right.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's crazy. Well, I feel like she was already on trial for witchcraft right before she put him in the locket.
Yeah.
She should have died shortly after that. And Prudence would have been about 2 at the time.
So it was before Matthew Tate. All right. Well, I'm just
because Prudence. Yeah,
we're just going in a spiral here. That's totally.
I know we are. When you get this with time travel, it gets all kinds of confusing, especially when you're trying to compare it to the lore of the show with the lore of the book.
Right.
So this is kind of crazy. Anyway,
let's keep it.
Chapter 4. Prue and Piper arrive at the manor. Still kind of distraught that they didn't know where Phoebe is, but they go and decide to find a tracking spell in the Book of Shadows, and thinking that can maybe get in touch with Phoebe with that. They gather all these ingredients, which include a touch of paternity, and then the whole dad thing comes up with Prue. Like she's like, I don't know, I'm not talking to him, I don't like him, whatever. Yeah. So it's nice that they have that consistent. Yep. And because they needed something of their dad's, I guess, or something that represents their dad, they find this football that Phoebe saved that was his. And they gather Phoebe's clothes, and they gather some of her hair from a brush. Yeah. So then they recite the spell, and Phoebe's jacket comes to life and starts pointing in all different directions like crazy. I think of like substitutionary locomotion. Yes.
We don't need to sing that song.
Yeah. And then the hair bursts into flames. Then a football rolls on that side, but they're like, okay.
Okay, great.
Great. That didn't help me at all. They say that because the jacket moves in all different directions, that means that Phoebe is far, far away. So that's like great. Prue looks in the book for a little bit more answers, and she shuts the book and tear rolls down her face because she didn't find anything that was helpful. And now she is afraid that Phoebe is actually dead too. It's starting to hit her a little bit more.
Oh, it's just so like
I know the emotion
of it all. This actually, the whole book, it definitely, it's definitely page turner, nail biter. It definitely picks up. I love it. So
yeah, and then
let's meet Prudence Wentworth.
Yes, chapter 5. Prudence Wentworth is Melinda's daughter.
Yes.
And so we meet her in her cottage. She comes in with her daughter. So we have Prudence Wentworth and her daughter Cassandra. And they greet Phoebe in the cottage. Poor little Cassandra doesn't do much in this book at all.
She doesn't.
But
I know. I was hoping
she's just kind of there.
Right. I was hoping there was going to be a little bit more with her, but
yeah. Even when she's there, it's like you're not doing anything interesting or consequential, but she's there. Phoebe realizes that Prudence is Melinda's daughter. Yay. And then Hugh shows up and appears to have a romance with Prudence. Phoebe's like, oh, I guess they're together. Maybe I was like, I thought he was flirting with me, but okay. I guess I was like, I'm not going to get in with my ancestor's man. It's fine. This is where he starts making the root tea. And he says it's to keep Prudence healthy because there's like this plague infesting the town or whatever. And pretty much anytime they're in the cottage, they drink this tea. Hugh gives a flirty grin to Phoebe naked in his cloak.
Ugh, ugh.
He's so disgusting. He's like, my cloak never looked so
Oh
happy.
God.
It's like, okay, like you may be cute, but you don't have to be like a creeper. Okay. And Phoebe is just like so disturbed now. She's like, no, now that you're with my ancestor, it's not going to happen.
She's setting her boundaries. That's great.
Yeah. And so then they put Phoebe one of Prudence's old dresses. It must have been a maternity dress because she has to take it in, and Prudence helps tailor it for her. And at this point, Phoebe thinks about telling her the truth about who she is, but she chickens out.
Oh, you know what?
What?
Her nails. I
Yes.
loved that. That was a great addition to
Yeah,
that.
that is a good. Yeah, Prudence notices Phoebe's nail polish.
Yeah, I think I love that came up, and later on it gets brought up again, and it's like, when you think about like things that didn't exist, and she's trying to keep such a low profile, like how is she going to get that nail polish off? Like that's not happening. She's just putting a target on her back. And of course it's red.
And Prudence like automatically thinks that it's like blood. She's like, oh my gosh, your nails are bleeding. Oh, and she's like, oh no, I was just painting and it came off my hands, but it didn't wash off my nails. So she's like, oh, okay. And then chapter 6, they're still in the cottage. Phoebe awoke the morning after, and she's like, if she is my ancestor, she must have the Book of Shadows somewhere in here. So she starts kind of like trying to search for the Book of Shadows while Prudence is asleep or whatever. She's like, I guess they're not around. I'm going to try searching for this. And then she's called for breakfast, and she gets to the table. Hugh winks at her. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, and you're going to do this in front of your girlfriend? How gross are you?
I just...
yeah. And so they're talking a little bit, and then Prudence is like, well, Phoebe's going to do some chores now. She's going to stay with us. She's going to do some work.
Well, what is Cassandra doing? She's not earning any, earning her keep.
She's probably what, how old do you think she is? Like 4 or 5?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she sends Phoebe to go do chores. And she's like, I was not expecting to do this, but I guess okay. And so she goes to fetch some water, and she encounters the demon, the green demon. And he's just like, ha 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 ha, I have a plan in motion. It's all right, you can't stop it now. And he's snarling, and then he like throws fire at her. I always think of Wizard of Oz. Want to play ball, Scarecrow? But so he kind of shoots fire, and then the whole kind of land, so like the shed, and there's like a hay thing that started on fire. And so Prudence comes out. She's like, what is going on? Why did you do this, Phoebe? We're supposed to get water, and now you're starting my land on fire?
Fire?
You're just like, you horrible woman.
You horrid girl.
Horrid girl. Yeah.
Oh
but Hugh comes to Phoebe's defense. He's like, oh, she's just a dumb girl. Maybe like, I'm like, all right, I guess, like, thanks, but you're kind of insulting. I don't know. And he gets more sexually aggressive towards Phoebe again. He's such like a harasser.
Let me get you some tea, girl.
Yeah,
like he just wants to roofie this girl.
He grabs her waist. He's like, I never forgot the sight of you naked in the village. Like, ew! Like, you don't just say that to somebody if you're not like established intimately with them. It's kind of like, oh, all right.
So then we're back to Prue and Piper.
Yeah.
A couple days later, it seems, and there's Chinese food, even though Prue is not in the mood for Chinese food. And then we find out that, things are broken, things are not paid for. There's, dishes that are just piling up in the sink. And, things are changing for Prue and Piper.
Yeah, they're acting a little strange, and they're like arguing all the time over petty things.
Right. And what I really liked about that was this seems like Prue and Piper before Phoebe came along. Like when they were kids, like that, even in that 70s episode. Yes. Yes. How they were just fighting and bickering with each other. Like clearly they're sick of each other, but they're sisters. And, they needed Phoebe to like balance them out. And I think they did a great job with the back and forth between Prue and Piper. I
mean, it definitely seemed something that was logical, but I also think they were probably definitely more angry than they would have. Just slightly out of place in a sense.
Yeah.
So
Right. So then we go back to the attic and we find a spell for taming beasts.
taming beast to maiming beast, it changes right before her eyes.
Right. Right.
Prue goes up there and she's looking at it. She's like, this spell is changing.
Yeah, you'd think like the second they saw that something changing right before them, they would be a little bit more scared of like what's happening.
Right. But
Because that doesn't happen too often where something changes within the book.
and if it does, it's not something that's,
Good.
Right. The only thing I could think of, like, Prue watching the mom writing, thank you for letting them into your heart type of thing. That's like the only time I can ever see it like really happening at that instant.
Being,
Then we have Phoebe back in the past. We go back to the past.
yep.
And she's noticing Prudence have really intense mood swings. Like sometimes she's great and nice and gentle, and sometimes she's telling me to get to work, and she has like an evil twin. She's really rude to me.
Right.
Phoebe noticed Prudence was adding a spell in the Book of Shadows for maiming beasts. Huh. A connection is made. That's the same spell that they saw in the future. Interesting.
So at this point, the book should not be as big and large as what we know it to be.
It should be very small.
In the present. It should be pretty small and pretty thin. I don't know.
Yeah, they kind of make it seem like that it is still the same size, which isn't
Right.
accurate. They do comment about how empty it is. Like there's not maybe in this world, like they have all the pages there, but there's a lot of just empty pages.
Right.
So I guess that's it. But like when Melinda Warren comes to comes in the witch's back, she's like, "Oh my gosh, the book is so thick." So it's a little bit of an inconsistency there.
Well, I wonder if, Prudence was like, you know what, I'm gonna start adding, a lot of things in here. So I'm just gonna add many pages and, copy and paste.
She writes a ton just in this one book.
Yeah. Oh,
Phoebe notices Prue with the maiming beast spell, but then she goes up to her and because now that she sees her with the Book of Shadows, she's like, "Oh, she's officially my ancestor. I know for sure." And she goes up to her and she says, "Blessed be." And then Prudence freaks out. She's like, "Oh, what are you doing in here?" She's like, and she slams her book down and she's like, "No, this is just nothing but family recipes, nothing else." And she freaks out and takes it away. So that was like, ooh. So now you got her a little cautious of you, and now we have Prue and Piper again, and they find a spell in the book to attract a warlock, and they intend to do it near where Phoebe was taken because they're like, maybe if we find this warlock again, he can bring Phoebe back. Oh, so now they go. Yeah, I'm like, I'm just looking at my notes, and they're already fighting him. Okay, so
yeah, I know.
I'm like, wow. They go to the alley area. And they're like hiding out after they cast a spell. They're like, "Oh, I see something in the distance. Oh, that must be the warlock." And when he gets close, Piper freezes him. And the intent was to question him, but then Prue just goes crazy. And this is a little strange for me because she just like kind of touches his chest, and her hand glows like this red-orange color and like burns him with the touch of death.
Right.
And like sucks his life essence out. I pictured the touch of death in Love Hurts. When she got the dark letter power from Alec.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I was feeling. I'm like, she should not have that ability. I mean, evil doesn't make you have powers all of a sudden like that. Maybe blinking, but nothing like. So, but she kills the warlock and she kind of absorbs his power. And she's like, "Oh, I liked killing. This was fun. Oh, this has possibilities." And Piper is concerned. Do you want to talk about what power she got?
Well, so what is it called? I looked this up. The name of
folding,
which
I've never seen anywhere else. I think they just made it up for this. It's so weird.
So it's to teleport. Teleport through time and space.
Well,
right?
This one is more of just like kind of Piper gets a full power later that they combine. But this one is just kind of like it's kind of like just like a teleportation by folding yourself into little origami squares until you disappear and then reappear. You like turn your 2-dimensional and then fold yourself up in like a little paper and then you come back out at your new location. Coming out of it's super strange.
That's super strange. I mean, why wouldn't it just be blinking?
Yeah. Right.
But okay.
I stole this paper folding transportation power and we turned into paper. It's crazy.
That's great.
Anyway, so she takes Piper and they paper fold to the manor.
Yes.
And And then we go back to the past. Phoebe is hauling water and she's splitting wood. She's really getting her workout in.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, and then Hugh is so gross again. he tickles Phoebe's cleavage with a weed. Like, oh my god. Oh, he's getting really aggressive. It's painful to read sometimes.
Like, you can tell like the author of this is like, I hate men. I need to write.
Yeah.
I need to write about an evil man.
But I feel like it is kind of on par with like Matthew Tate, because I feel like Matthew Tate would have been like that too. Because when Hannah is like looking at him, he's like, if it pleases you to look. So he's just like a horny man all the time.
And she's like, I don't want your cuties.
Right. Ew.
Can you, like,
get away from me, please.
step off?
Go. Yeah, get out of here. And he's like, whatever. But he wants to make sure that Prudence sees him flirting with Phoebe. So Prudence comes out and she notices that he was like all on her. But she just kind of like gives an eye roll and they have to leave. So they take Cassandra and Hugh and Prudence, they all go off and they have to help deliver a neighbor's baby or whatever.
They just have to deliver a baby or whatever.
Yeah, we're like, this is our everyday life. We just help out where we can.
Yeah.
We're no doctor, but we can help deliver a baby. Maybe she was trained as a midwife or something.
Right. That's probably true.
So with them gone, Phoebe's like, oh, this is my chance to like explore the house and maybe find that Book of Shadows again. She's looking around and she eventually finds it hidden in the ceiling, the thatched ceiling roof of the house. Mm-hmm. And she goes through it. She's looking at it. She like notices how empty it is. And as she's looking through the book, she gets a premonition of Prue and Piper in chains and leather, like biker chicks, and they're hunting down demons for sport. And she's like, "Oh, is my family turning evil?" I have a question for you, though.
Yes.
Do you think it was a Warren line turning evil? If Prue and Piper turning evil, do you think Phoebe should have been affected too? Or do you think because she's in the past, she's immune?
I think she's immune because she's in the past.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, well, it has to make sense.
Technically, she should be turned evil, but then she's not really in the future to be turned evil. I guess if she like returned home now, maybe she turned evil just from returning home.
Right.
It's time travel, so much confusion. But I thought about that. And then
I thought about that.
Yeah, but Phoebe's flipping through the book and she's noticing all kinds of evil spells. And then she's caught by Prudence. Prudence comes back and she's like, "What are you doing? Where did you find that?" And she gets real crazy. She grabs Phoebe by the collar and she's like, "If I ever catch you with this book again, I will kill you."
I will kill you.
I'm like, whoa, that got drama.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
She must have had some more root tea.
Yeah, that root tea. Piper is getting herself ready for another night of warlock hunting. They're wearing black on black, just covered in black. They're like, we're goth now, we're evil. Just so you know. You have to know we're evil because we love the color black. It's fine.
We just got back from Hot Topic.
Yeah. We got our chokers on and our like pokey little whatever they are. And she plans to get herself a new power now. She's like, this time I'm going to get a power. I'm going to kill a warlock and I'm going to have power. And that's the part, my favorite part of the whole book. One of them is Prue is applying temporary tattoos to her bicep. She's like, I'm so bad. I'm putting temporary tattoos on myself.
What do you think those temporary tattoos were?
Well, they say it was a thorny demon. So... I don't know what she just went to like Walgreens or whatever, and she's like, "I want the thorny demon, please."
I'd like the thorny demon, please. Oh wow!
And it's like, it's so funny to me. It cracked me up because it's like, this is how I know I'm bad. I'm just gonna buy some temporary tattoos. And then she goes to Piper. You want one?
I love Piper being like, okay, now I got to get a power because Prue's got a power and I need one as well. Mm-hmm. And then they talk about how Piper's mouth is watering, that she's like hungry for power.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I like this.
They're like, they're thirsty. Mm.
They're thirsty. They're hungry.
At this all famished. We're just famished all together. It's funny because I bring up that thorny demon again. It's ironic because there actually is a thorn demon in season 7, episode 16, the 7-year witch.
Oh,
and it's funny too because they all dressed up in black and they have tribal tattoos. So I'm like, oh, interesting. I wonder if she has a tattoo of one of them. Maybe that's what it is.
Yes, maybe that's what
This is my inspiration for my look. And yeah, you notice they haven't been going into work and they haven't been cleaning the house, so it's just getting dirtier and dirtier in the house. And I feel like they're probably on the verge of being fired, both of them.
Well, Piper just not showing up.
But yeah, she's the boss, I guess. So, but she's like, no money coming in, so I don't know how long you're going to be able to keep that going.
Yeah, right.
And then so they go on their warlock hunt and they find this warlock on a motorcycle. And they're like set a trap for him. They're like, we're gonna make him crash. I was a little confused by this scene because I read it a couple times. I'm like, I'm not even sure what really happened. They got like a wood plank or something and got him to crash, or
Yeah, so Piper freezes the Harley, and Prue, I guess, just moves something in front of him, and then he just flies into the air and falls to the ground in front of them.
yeah. And then Piper like touches him and steals his power. It's like they have like a life sucking power they can just steal. It's so weird.
Yeah, that doesn't really make any sense with like how warlocks steal witches' powers.
There's no stabbing. There's no
stabbing with anathema. There's none of that.
There's nothing. I mean, and I don't necessarily think they have to stab. It's their MO. It's a quick way to kill them, but you have to kill him some way first to get the power. You can't just like touch them and
Right.
So, but she gets his power. She has no idea what it is yet, though. So she's like, "Oh, cool! I got something." And I love killing. This is great. And then we have Phoebe in the past again, and she went into town running errands for Prudence because she has to do all the work now. But she's in the meantime, she's getting stuff for Prudence, but she was also getting some stuff for a spell she wants to cast. She's getting ingredients for herself as well.
Yes.
And this is where the nail polish comes in again. You want to talk about this scene a little bit?
Crimson nails. I just think I thought this scene was a little scary because like she could have just gotten caught. She, like they say, she's clearly a witch. So
yeah, an older couple sees her nail polish and they're like, "What is that?" And they kind of slowly freak out about it. The demon goes; he's disguised as human form again. So he's disguised. He's like, "Oh no, she's a witch. You better get her." They detain her. They start grabbing her. Some guy grabs her, and they start carrying her over to the stocks. But she's like, she knows it's all over if she gets caught in the stocks. Like she's not going to get out. So she is trying to find some way to save herself. And she remembers she has a pouch of pepper in her pocket, and she goes in there and she takes a pinch of it and she throws it in the face of the guy that's carrying her. And he's like, "Oh, magic, witchcraft!"
I love how so if Pepper is around and they're like, "Oh God, we need to stay away from her," like you're suspending your belief that Pepper exists and it's now magic dust.
Because they saw it come out of her, they saw it come out of her fingernails. Probably because they weren't really sure what happened, and to them, they're putting two and two together. And so she ends up running away. Phoebe gets away, and she hid near the cabin, but not quite at the far enough away that she wouldn't be seen. She's like in a bush. And like this mob comes to Prudence's cabin looking for Phoebe, and she's like, "Phoebe isn't here." So then they go away. Like, oh, I guess that was for bust. But they have their pitchforks and their torches, and they're like, oh. And then they leave, and when they leave, Phoebe peeked in to the cabin. She didn't go inside because she didn't want Prudence to see her because she figured she might do something crazy too. But she peeks in the window and she sees a tender moment with Prudence and Cassandra. And she's holding Cassandra in her arms, and Phoebe's like, for all of her mood swings, she is a really good mom. So see, these little tender moments in this book, they're really full of them. I like that.
Yeah.
And then she's going in the woods now, looking for some final ingredients for her spell that she wants to do. I think it's to banish a demon. She found it in there to banish a demon, and that's what she planned, is to get rid of the demon that she still doesn't know his name, but the time demon. And while she is looking for ingredients, she comes across Hugh and the demon, like around a fire, and they're talking, they're plotting together. And she's like, "Oh, gasp!"
I love that.
And then we have Prue and Piper being evil again. They're high off their kill,
playing pool.
Yeah, they're playing pool. They're at a bar, just like.
I love how that's always a trope. That's always a trope. Is like when Prue wanted to be bad and she started astral projecting.
Just harried, yeah.
Yeah. Like, let's be bad and play some pool.
And I'll beat you too, because I'm that bad. I'm good.
I'm that bad, I'm good.
And so now they're addicted to the idea of killing warlocks and stealing their powers. Like, yeah, this can be a nightly thing for us. We'll be so powerful in no time. And at this point, I feel like technically they are warlocks themselves. If you're killing for powers, doesn't that make you a warlock? If you're a magic user, yeah. So it doesn't matter if you're killing warlocks or witches. You're still killing for powers. So you're a warlock now. And Piper still doesn't know what kind of power she just got. She's just like, I'm cool. I need to figure this out later. And Prue now is thinking about going after witches as well. And she finds more evil spells in the book. Sees a spell in the Book of Shadows about how to steal a good witch's power with a live human heart. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was Tuatha's spell.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was like, oh, I like the consistency there. That was nice to see.
So then at some point, one of their descendants like had to have come together with Tuatha. Yeah. Right?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe she was like friends with one of their ancestors. At this time, it kind of changed all of history, so we don't know what could have happened. Could have been like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would have altered the timeline already.
Yeah, a side timeline where they're all evil and Tuatha was friends with them, or maybe she was an ancestor themselves. You never know. Who knows? And then Prue's like, do we know any good witches we can steal from? And Piper goes, Phoebe. And Prue's like, who's Phoebe?
Who's Phoebe? Who's Phoebe?
Who's Phoebe? So back in the past by that fire, Phoebe is eavesdropping on the Hugh and the demon by the fire. And she discovers that Hugh's root tea was turning Prudence evil. So, yeah, it was this evil root tea that was making her angry and... and she kept adding all these evil spells to the book. So that explains why the people, Prue and Piper in the future, kept seeing all these evil spells being added to the book that weren't there before. And then the demon commended Hugh for making Prudence jealous because that was part of her, her turning point too. Giving her the evil tea and making her jealous of Phoebe.
Yeah.
It's like drink your tonic. It's totally tonic steer parallels. I know. I keep feeling all these things in my head of these parallels. It's great.
Yeah.
And then he reveled in the success of turning the war line to darkness. He's like, ha 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 ha. It's all going according to plan. And then he's a time demon now, like for sure, I guess. And if they want to get Prudence to kill Phoebe, and they imprint like they conjure her in the fire, like they show Prudence sleeping in the fire, and they can like suggest things to her, I guess, in her sleep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they imprint the idea of that you should kill Phoebe now into Prudence's head. Phoebe realizes now that if she adds to the book, it should be there in the future. So if she's seeing like all these evil spells that Prudence is writing, she's like, oh, if I write in there, maybe Prue and Piper will see it and they can save me. So she sneaks the book down from the rafters again. It's so funny that if Prudence saw her with the book, she wouldn't think to change the hiding spot. She just puts it back where it was. Right. But sure.
Well, also, if Prudence sees Phoebe with the book, touching the book, holding the book, she should realize that, okay, you're not evil.
Yeah. But I think at this point, she's too far gone in her hysteria of darkness that she probably wouldn't realize that.
She probably didn't realize, yeah.
But Phoebe sneaks the book down and she writes in it, writes a little note to Prue and Piper. And it's kind of cool because simultaneously, as she's writing it in the past, Prue and Piper are there and they're reading it like in real time almost.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm gonna read her letter. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm totally ready.
This is a frantic message to Piper and Prue. Help! It's me, Phoebe, and I'm alive and kicking in Salem, Massachusetts. What? Yes, Salem, land of the witch hunt. I've been told the year is 1676, and I'm staying with this chick named Prudence, who is actually our ancestor, and I guess your namesake, Prue. She's not a lot of help, though. Since she's under an evil spell. The thing is, that warlock who attacked us is actually a time demon, whatever that means, and he sucked me through a portal, some kind of time rift or something, and here I am. The demon is here too, planting seeds of evil to ruin our family. Oh, yeah, he's got a warlock helping him. Anyway, here I am up a river of evil without a good witch in sight, and I'm drowning. Help! Love you guys, and I miss you, Phoebe. That's such a goofy little message. I love it.
I love it. I love it. That's totally, like, that even sounds like what, this is totally Phoebe. I love it.
Right, like making light of a bad situation.
100%.
So that was fun. And reading that note, Prue and Piper snap back into their usual selves. Like, so they're back to normal. And then they decide to cross-reference the time demon that she mentioned in the book, and they look and they find the name of Falcroft. Although I'm surprised they don't find Tempest.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because, I mean, I can imagine that there's more than one time demon,
Right.
but you would think since, I mean,
Falcroft, yeah.
being created, I think, as a new character, I think expands the universe versus just using Tempest.
Yeah, maybe
You know.
maybe because they did. This is technically season 2, so because they kind of already fought Tempest in a way, they ruled him out in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's this new one.
And it wasn't Friday the 13th.
That's Barbas.
Oh, that's Barbas.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Never mind. I always get those two mixed up.
They sound similar, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Prudence once again finds Phoebe with the book. They're back in the past again. We do a lot of time jumps in here.
Yeah, towards the end, it just goes back and forth.
Yeah, but Prudence finds Phoebe with the book, and she tries to telekinesis her, but it fails. And then she comes at her with a hunting knife instead. She's like, "I'm gonna stop you!"
I have to kill you.
Yeah. Woo. So Prudence is slashing at her for a while, but then she drops her knees and she drops the knife and she starts crying because she is actually aware that she is enchanted. She knows something is wrong with her, and she is freaking out about it. She's like, "I can't kill you. This is not me." So, and then Phoebe kind of like, she tells her about Hugh and the demon. So then they decide to do a spell together to free her of evil enchantment. So they cast a spell to get this burden off of her. And then she's free. She's no more evil in her. But then Prudence has a vision, and she doesn't tell Phoebe what it was. So Prudence has 2 powers. She's got telekinesis and premonition. And she doesn't tell Phoebe what the premonition was, and they take Cassandra to stay safe with a friend. She's like, "We're going to go to the neighbor's house because we're going to do some battling stuff soon, so you should go away." Now, we're back in the future again.
Yep, back in the future.
Piper pulls out an Xmas Christmas ornament that they would always fight about who would hang on the tree when they were kids. And we're going to use it for a spell because they need, what was it, something breakable, fragile, and...
Yeah, that was interesting to me. Where a delicate object of contention.
Contention, there we go.
Yeah.
So they break the Christmas ornament, and they're going to use it for the demon to summon Falcroft. But then Prue inadvertently drops the ornament, and it shatters. So then Piper freaks out like crazy, and then time reverses back to just before the ornament fell. And now discovered Piper's warlock power. That's the one she stole. So she has chronokinesis, and she can affect time now, which is a crazy powerful power.
That's wild.
Prue got paper folding, and you got time travel. And you would think a warlock with that power would be much harder to kill, but okay.
Right.
But this is bringing me to a new segment I'm going to be doing in these podcasts. It's called the Ultimate Power Challenge, where I'm going to propose a challenge to the listeners, and you can email me your answers, and then the first person that answers correctly or closest to the right answer will get featured in the next episode. So isn't that cool?
That's fun.
And my challenge for this one is name each instance Christmas was shown in some form on Charmed. It's a hard one.
Oh, wow.
Because there are no Christmas episodes, but Christmas has been seen. So I'm going to propose that first person who emails me at wordsofwitchespod@gmail.com with as close to the correct answer as possible I'll be reaching out, and we'll get a feature for you. If nobody responds, I'll just give you the answer on the next episode anyway. Because I feel like there are people that are listening, but I haven't really had a lot of contact with them.
Well, you might be hearing from me.
Okay, cool.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see if people can find them.
That's a cool segment. I like that.
Cool. All right, awesome. Chapter 16, we have Prue and Piper. They decide,
Oh no.
yeah, now they're like, oh, now that we know Piper can time travel, let's use the powers of paper folding and chronokinesis to get to Phoebe. I was like, so I'm going to paper fold and you time travel and we'll get there. It'll be just fine. That's what we got to do. Just combine our powers together. And apparently it
Wait,
works in case it takes them to the past.
apparently it works all in one fell swoop. You'd think that they would have to do one. They would have to paper fold first and then time travel, or
Right,
do one or the
right.
other.
Yeah. Yeah. But
San Francisco in 1676. I wonder what that would be
and
like.
I was just like,
Yeah.
why go all the way to 1676? Why can't you just time travel to right before Phoebe was going into the past?
Oh, right.
That would have solved everybody's problem.
Well, no, that wouldn't have, because what if Falcroft
Oh yeah, he's
was
still
still
turning people
planning
evil.
on doing it?
Yeah,
right?
he could have. That's true. Okay, it was stuff.
Yeah.
It was stuff Phoebe from going to the past, but then he would have been probably successful in his plans to change the war online. Okay, he got me there. Good. All right. All right. So then,
We're back at Prudence's
yes,
cottage.
back at the cottage. Yes. They start the spell to banish the demon. But are interrupted.
And Prudence didn't know what Tahiti was. So I wonder, I'm going to Google that.
Yeah.
When was Tahiti
Yeah.
formed? So they start doing a spell.
Yeah, so Prudence and Phoebe start doing the spell to banish the demon, but are interrupted by Hugh. He comes through the door. He starts throwing fireballs and attacks them, and he entraps Prudence in a spiral of fire. So that's like slowly burning her alive. Then Prue and Piper arrive at the scene. Like, we paper folded here, and we're gonna. So then Piper freezes them, and then Prue uses her telekinesis to free Prudence of the flame thing, the fire spiral. She gets that away, and then she finds a chair and some rope, and she ties Hugh to the chair. But as soon as he unfreezes, he just burns the rope and blinks away. So that was useless.
Okay.
So great, nice try. Too bad. And then they open the door and they see the village mob returning for Phoebe. They're like, okay, we need to get that witch. We're coming for you. And then Hugh tells them that Prudence is the witch and they take her instead. Piper wants to freeze them, but Prudence says she must let it be because the vision she had earlier was of her drowning and she believes it is her destiny. So she's like, I must go drown now. Let them take me away. So, yeah, crazy. And then the sisters find Hugh and Falcroft in the distance. They see them talking again. And Falcroft is angered that he allowed Prudence to be taken before she killed Phoebe. He's like, no, she's supposed to kill Phoebe. You ruined it. Ah! And so Falcroft has this really gruesome murder scene where he impales Hugh with his arm, stabs through him, and then he takes the bite out of his arm, and then he finishes off by biting his head off. Really gross stuff.
Really gross. That's not gonna be shown on the WB.
No, and this is another instance. To me, so many of these little scenes in these books are really graphic, and this is one of them. He's he has bites his arm, blood dripping down, and he was screaming in agony, and oh, yeah, horrible. And then Falcroft sees the sisters. He's still wiping the blood off his lip, and they toss the ingredients for their banishment spell into the fire. And they say the banishment spell, followed by the power of 3 spell. So they go crazy with their spells. And then energy in the shape of a giant hand comes out of the fire, and it's all multicolored, and it grabs Falcroft and pulls him into the fire, and it takes him into some kind of eternal abyss of torment or something like that. And then that's done. Demon's gone. Great. But now Phoebe believes they need to go rescue Prudence.
You know what? There was a really great passage that I'm trying to find, that when they were saying the power of 3 spell, here it goes. Prue blinked. Though the flames were licking right over her head, she felt no heat at all.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
In the imagery of almost the power of 3 spell creating a bubble or a protective barrier.
Yeah, that's pretty
neat. Fully around them. And I think, and what came to mind was obviously the pilot, when there's flames around them, and they're
And
protected.
that vortex
So
of wind and all that stuff too.
yeah, I love that. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful notice. Good job. I like that.
Thank you.
The poet in you. The villagers are going to kill Prudence for witchcraft. They tie her to a stool, and they lower her into the water to drown her. They do have a moment before that where they contemplate if they're going to save her or not, because Prue at first doesn't think, like, maybe it's her destiny.
I know, like
It's
that's
like, ooh,
wild to me.
yeah, wow. And he was like, no, we have to, and they eventually come around. But that's crazy that they had to debate that.
Yeah, I thought that was a little strange that Prue didn't want to save this person.
Right. Piper freezes time, and they do save her. They get her out of the water, and they tell her to take Cassandra and leave Salem. So she runs off. They kind of put the stool back in the water to make it look like she's just gone. And then the villagers are kind of dumbfounded, but they, take it as it is. The sisters duck behind a bush and teleport Paper back to the shopping district of San Francisco in their own time. And then Phoebe's like, I can't believe you stole warlock powers. But Prue says that with history rewrited, the spell they used wouldn't exist, so they won't have them very much longer. So she thinks they're going to fade away soon. Which I feel like that should have happened earlier, maybe. But
once the time demon was destroyed, it should have all.
They shouldn't have been able to put Paper back home,
right?
So
exactly.
Whatever.
Well, since it's the last page of the book, I'm not gonna confuse that too much.
And then it ended them pretty much going with, "Oh yeah, we're the charmed ones. We're cool." just revel in the fact that they're charmed ones, and they did a good thing again. So the end.
The end.
Any final thoughts?
I think that the author did a great job at making this a page turner. There are some times where I'll read some of these books and I'm like, okay, this is like dragging along. This is not interesting, but they kept me on my toes. The action started right at the beginning, and it kept moving for me. And I appreciate that because, if you're not gonna, the pace of the novel has to, also reach like the pace of an episode,
right?
In my opinion. So
a good action, and I thought it was wonderfully emotional. When they turned evil, it did lose me a little bit, just because I feel like it was done a little bit better in Bride and Gloom.
Yes.
Just in the way that they acted evil. Although in that one they never actually killed anybody, so they were a little darker. This one they actually killed people in the book, but it did seem very kind of like a 13-year-old turning bad, like just trying to be rebellious.
Right.
But otherwise, I did think it was a really, really great book and really fun to see kind of something in their past.
Yeah.
See another character from their lineage, which we never really got to know before.
Right. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah. Now we're into rhyme time. We're going to read some spells.
Should we try a spell?
Why not? Let's try a spell.
In the wind, I send this rhyme. Bring death before me, before my time.
You've really got to lay off the rhyming, Prue.
Wonderful. Witty, but wordy.
I did the rhyme. I will do the time. Good night.
Okay.
It's pretty much the contents of the Evil Book of Shadows. So it says, make an image of thy foe, slash it as I slash the roe, then bury it beneath full moon in the grave of one hanged too soon. Which I kind of like that one. It's a little wordy at that last line. That doesn't flow too well, but it's a pretty nice one. And then she also wrote spells for summoning warlocks, for maiming beasts, to be revenged on one who has done you harm, and to cause disease in one who crosses you.
That's pretty scary.
All right. Yeah, she did a lot of evil spells. You want to do the
tracking spell? For the spell, something for the lost one's father is needed: a lock of hair and a piece of clothing dear to her. A trace of paternity, clothing so dear, a locket of hair to track far and near. Find our Phoebe, point the way, track her spirit, find her today.
I'm trying to decide how I feel about that one.
Because like the blood to blood spell would probably work as well.
Because it's doesn't feel accomplished. Doesn't give me a real accomplished feeling. This is a spell for banishing the most evil of demons. For the spell, the following ingredients are needed: a thimble, soil from the earth where 3 roads meet, a pinch of salt, a needle of pine, ground pepper, a tea leaf, a nutmeg kernel, 2 flat stones, a feather, and Queen Anne's lace. Jeez Louise, this is a lot.
Wow.
No wonder Phoebe took forever to get these ingredients.
Right.
The ingredients should be thrown into a fire before the spell is cast. Friends of light and sister sun, winter moon, and summer shower. Send this demon back to darkness, banish him, destroy his power. That one is nice. That's a good
I
one.
like that. Yes.
Yeah, it has really nice imagery and really beautiful words and a really nice rhyme.
Yeah.
That works for me.
It uses all of the elements. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is a spell to splinter enchantment. So the spell requires candles, an object of the enchanted, a sign of family, and an evil thing to cast away. Place the sign of family in the enchanted one's arms, then the other 2 objects in a bowl between the spellcaster and the enchanted. The spell must be casted by both. Day and night, night and day, break the spell, cast it away.
Yeah, and then they followed up with the Power 3 spell, which we know. Power 3 will set is free.
Cool.
All right, and now I'm doing a new thing in these where I'm going to start ranking the best baddies from every book.
Great.
I'm adding all these things. Did you listen to all the other episodes, or?
I don't think I caught the last one.
Okay, so I'll fill you in on what that guy was
yeah.
then. But we have 5 people so far, 5 baddies, and we're going to rank them from our favorite to the least favorite.
Okay, great.
So we have this book. We have Falcroft, which is a demon who can create time rifts and wreak havoc in the past, present, and future. His powers include glamoring, time ripple, super strength, and fire throwing. And we have Hugh Montgomery, a warlock and accomplice of the demon. He stays with Prudence Wentworth and takes the responsibility of turning her evil by giving her the potion, tea. His powers include blinking and pyrokinesis. The last book had Mr. Justin Morgan, the leader of the Coven of the New Sun, which was like this crazy like cult warlock group. And he posed as like a coordinator for this rehab facility for children that are troubled. And he tried to get close to the sisters, and he got inverted their powers, and he got close to killing them. And he also has the power of shape-shifting.
Ooh.
So he's pretty powerful. Book 2 is Lascaris, which is the powerful warlock that possesses Prue to make her kiss all the other men and transfer their life force to him. And then we have Jeremy Burns from the first book, Piper's warlock boyfriend. So you know him. So
yes.
Yeah. What do you think is your ranking for that? For those guys.
All right, I'm gonna have to go with my boy Falcroft because it seems like the most insidious way of,
he's powerful.
Yeah. So he's
my number 1 too. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'd probably then go with this is so hard.
I know.
I'd probably go with Kiss of Darkness.
Okay.
I don't know. That whole book was just super funny to me because Prue just like kissing people throughout the whole book. I loved it.
Yeah.
Then I probably would do the Justin Morgan, Kenji, and the Sunrise.
Okay.
The Coven of New Sunrise because of their collective, versus then just Jeremy being the one warlock himself.
Yeah. Right.
And I wonder if he was in the Coven of the New Sun.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. So that probably would be my ranking. Did I miss anyone?
Hugh.
He's after Jeremy.
Same.
Jeremy was a little bit more. I mean, he took his time. He took his time with Piper.
Yeah.
Whereas,
So you have Falcroft number 1.
Yeah.
When you put the Lascaris, or you put the Coven leader after that?
No, Lascaris.
So Lascaris, and then Coven leader, and then Jeremy, and then Hugh.
Yes.
Okay. Mine would be probably Falcroft, I'd probably put the Coven Leader then, number 2 for me.
Okay.
And then Lascaris, and then Jeremy, and then Hugh. So
Okay.
pretty close.
All right. I
Cool.
like it.
And then, and if you are listening, you can send in your votes too. At the end of 10 books, we're going to take a list of the top baddies and see who ranks number 1. The top 3 will then be able to pass along to the next grouping.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so we're going to have a rank of 10 from the first 10 books, or however many demons there are. There could be more than one in each book, but however many there are in the first 10 books, we'll rank those all, and then taking all the votes, and then the top 3 of those votes will be able to compete into the next 10 set of 10 books. So cool.
That's cool.
And now I'm throwing this on you. I'm playing a game with you.
Oh, God.
What is this, some kind of game?
Grimoire Games.
Some people think this is entertainment.
It's called Whispers from the Past. I know. Isn't that amazing? I'm going to put a minute on the clock.
Oh, God.
I know it's time. And I'm going to give you a clue, like phrases. And you have to kind of think of a word that has like past in it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Something you find in a bakery.
Pastries.
Pastry, yes. Where you take the cows to feed.
The pasture.
Pasture. Spaghetti is a type of
Pasta.
colors in a lighter shade.
Pastels.
Yes. A thick glue.
Paste.
Not a reverend or a priest or rabbi.
A pastor.
Art imitating art. You can pass if you need.
Ooh, pass.
Okay. Something with uncontrollable muscle movement.
That could get dirty real quick. Pass.
Discreetly requesting attention.
This
This is more of like a sound.
Psst.
Yes. All right. Art imitating art.
Art imitating art.
Time. So you got 8 out of 10.
What was that?
Art imitating art was pastiche.
Pastiche.
Yeah, I know. It's very
That's
intellectual.
French. All right.
And then something with uncontrollable muscle movement was spastic.
Oh,
That was a little tricky.
spastic.
Yeah. But yeah, you did pretty good. Those were
right.
fun.
All right, that's fun.
Yeah.
You're gonna
I
have to
liked
get.
it.
You're gonna have to be real creative moving forward with those.
I know. I'm trying to theme my games to the book. So
Oh, to the book. Okay, that's good.
yeah.
Okay, I was like,
Whispers
how are
from
you
the
gonna?
past.
Okay.
And now the last thing is the final thing. It's tips for future white lighters.
I was out being a force of good in the universe.
So we have a final moral of the day.
I think the moral is, don't run off in the middle of San Francisco, in the 2000s without your sisters. I think that's a pretty good moral.
Mine is time travel narratives are confusing. They can be done well, but they're very confusing if you think too hard.
Yes, they're very confusing.
So always keep that in mind. All right. Well, I guess that's that. Where can people find you on your social media?
Ooh. You can follow me on Instagram at bry.bry.bry.
And you can find me at KGZ87. You can find this podcast at Words of the Witches on Instagram as well, or Facebook, Words of the Witches, a Charmed podcast. And then don't forget to send in your answers for the Ultimate Power Challenge with the Christmas thing. wordsofwitchespod@gmail.com. I mentioned that. Do that. Start thinking about your rankings for the demons. We won't ask to get them sent in until after the 10th book, but start thinking about those rankings. And yeah, that should be fun. See you later. See you next couple weeks. Bye.
Bye.